time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Buffalo soldier, dread like a rasta. It was a buffalo soldier in the heart of America, stolen from Africa, brought to America.
You are listening to The Black Pack. I'm your host, Adrianne Shropshire, here at KBLA Talk 1580. And me and Andy are in sync today because that was a great choice, Andy. Thank you. I love that. I love it. So we have been talking today about what is happening in Los Angeles, from the Trump administration and exactly what it is that they're attempting to do with Judith Brown Dianis in the last segment about what authority, on whose authority does he have a right to be doing any of this? And right now I am joined by Alberto Watanya, the CEO and President and CEO of the Community Coalition. And Alberto, the thing that I will say to you is that I have had exactly 3 guests in studio.
Okay.
One was LA City Council President Marquise Harris-Dawson.
All right.
2 was Judith Brown Dianis, Executive Director of the Advancement Project Advocate Fund. And you're the 3rd.
All right.
So you are rare air up in here.
I love it. Right here. Concrete.
But one of the things that we know that when we think about all that's happening, we see what the mayor is doing, and we see the governor on television, we see protesters out in the street, we see clergy, right, leading vigils and leading marches. But the other piece of what's happening in our city that often so many times goes unseen is the work of community organizations. I talked earlier a little bit about Shirla being under attack and other organizations like Baji being on the list, which is essentially like your next list. But we also know that there are lots of community organizations providing support, doing advocacy work, doing the organizing work that really helps our communities to be strong. And obviously the Community Coalition is one of those, founded by the mayor in the early 90s as an organization to bring together neighbors to solve community problems, right, to support each other and to stand up against injustice. And the Community Coalition continues to do that to this day. And so I just want to ask you first about, what are you seeing on the ground right now, like in the streets and the neighborhoods, and hearing from not just your members, but your staff as well?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I appreciate you lifting up the work of the community. This is something that community organizations have been preparing for months. We didn't quite have a good sense of what it would look like. We all could guess. We knew something was coming. So for months, we've been out in the community, knocking on doors, talking to residents, getting on the phones, letting people know about knowing their rights, what to do if an ICE agent comes to your neighborhood, to stay in your home, not come out, not share. I mean, the things that we tried to do the very best we could was to communicate for months that this might happen. We had no idea that this was just going to land on us in the way it did last Friday. And when they showed up and they began to hunt and chase down and abduct and kidnapped family members, what the community immediately felt was terror, paralysis, terror, fear, horror, concern. As you've seen, obviously people are still going to work in the face of such terror and getting swept. And there's lots of folks that are staying home. So on Monday night, we had a community meeting. About 200 folks came out, and our residents were telling us there and last night that they are afraid, that they are scared, that they need a way to get food to them. They need a way to transport their children to school. People are afraid of going to graduation. Huge day in people's families. So that's the state of mind in the community right now, particularly amongst immigrants. Is that state of fear?
Yeah. I think that we'll get into maybe some of the stories that we're hearing, but I particularly moved at the clergy, the prayer vigil that was held on Tuesday, because they had so many people come forward and tell their stories, right? And they were very, very moving in terms of people watching their fathers be taken away, watching their brothers be taken away, and this sort of sense, as you're describing, of feeling like people have to be like shut-ins, right? Have to stay inside the house. Children, I was saying earlier, begging their parents not to leave the house because they're worried that they may not come back. And so there is the kind of fear is palpable. But the other thing that's palpable is also people's determination.
That's right.
And so when we come forward, I want to talk a little bit about that, but just also about the work that you started to allude to. I think about the work that the Community Coalition is going to be doing in these coming days and weeks and months, apparently.
That's right.
So we have so much more to cover with Alberto Retania from the Community Coalition when we come forward. Stay with us. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again. Holla.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God!
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Let's get back to more of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to the Black Pack, and I am joined in studio by Alberto Retagna, the president and CEO of the Community Coalition. So, Alberto, we were talking about, what you all are hearing. I know you all had a community meeting on Monday night that was literally organized at the drop of a dime, right? Like, you all put out the word, like, come and, be in community over at the offices, and people showed up, more than 200 people. I was there. You had to have 2 or 3 overflow rooms for the folks who wanted to come and just be together and share stories and talk about what we need to do. And there was lots of folks who were very who were on that sort of like, here's what we need to do right here. Like we need to move. We need to be in action. So that was that felt important. But I do want to talk about some of the stories that you all are hearing about. That I know that some of your members are experiencing directly, right? The sort of interactions with ICE. We've certainly heard stories from other organizations as well. But what are you all hearing about how folks are, how close it is? I think is important for all of us to understand how close this is to our everyday lives here in South LA.
Yeah, obviously the most impactful story is when it's directly impacted you or someone. There's the videos we see online, but it's just a whole nother level when you hear a community member, a leader, someone describe to you waiting at a bus stop like any normal day, and an unmarked vehicle pulling up, 2 men coming out, grabbing 2 women and their children, putting them into the van, and driving off. And she described it. She described the terror. She didn't know if another van was going to come on its way and pick them up. Paralyzed, nervous, and then, a community completely, divided from each other, and so separated from each other, abducted. So there are no words to describe how to respond to that, other than just to say that you're there and we love each other. I mean, the room was silent. The room was quiet. Yeah. So it's hard.
I mean, that story I will tell you was particularly terrifying to me, and I will tell you why. So I grew up with an aunt who helped to raise me, who was born into the Jim Crow South. And she would tell us when we were kids in the North, right? Because my family moved north during the Great Migration. She would tell us when we were kids that basically when the government decides, when America decides to turn on Black people again, that we could expect this one thing to happen. And she would tell us all the time, the trucks are going to come. And she would say the trucks are going to come, and when the trucks come, we are all getting on it. And what she meant by that was that it did not matter your socioeconomic status. It did not matter your educational attainment. It did not matter how big the house was you lived in. But then when they decided to come and get us, that they were going to put us all on these trucks. And so when I listened to, and I've heard that my entire life. And so when I listened to the member at the Community Coalition describe sitting at the bus, and because she used the word trucks. Right. She said trucks came and they weren't marked.
That's right.
Right. And she said, and we didn't know if they were sending another truck to come and get us. And I thought, this is exactly what my aunt, born into the Jim Crow South, described to us. Right. And then here we are. So I just, I think that this is when we think about, because the other piece of this that's so important, I know that the Community Coalition was founded on, is this notion that we are all in this together, right? And that we, as Black people, as brown people, that we occupy the same space, that we have a shared fate, right? We have a shared destiny, and that we need to lean into the, I will say solidarity. It feels like it's a word that's overused, but we need to lean into that. And this also feels like one of those moments, right? Because it is so close in our communities, because the bus stop that she was waiting on was just a bus stop in South LA, right?
That's right.
Like, this is not,
That's right.
we don't live in segregated communities like that, right? And so when the net gets cast, right, that net will cover us all.
That's right.
And so we need to be thinking about, what we are all doing to protect our community.
Well, and I think this is why we have these meetings, to share this history and share this experience. I remember being just about a month ago in Montgomery and learning about abductions of black families being separated, and feeling the connection, knowing the difference, that there's absolutely circumstantial, completely different histories here, but that the source from which this hate comes from the same place. So that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
But you're right. Our people are absolutely strong and looking towards each other. And we had a conversation that night. The next day, a busload of them went downtown to the vigil. There was fear of attending, but people came together to go anyway, to listen to each other. And that member who shared that story in the room shared the story in front of thousands of folks that night to call on our moral conscience to step forward and join the fight.
Yeah, and there's something in, I think, perhaps for her, and I know certainly for others, being able to verbalize those stories, right, and get the support back from community members. So let me ask you. I want to shift just a little bit to the question that I think I asked to both Judith and Erica Smith earlier in the conversation. What is this about? What is happening? Why are we seeing this play out in the way that we are seeing it play out from the perspective of you and the coalition?
Well, I think that there is an extremist ideology. There's a guy by the name of Stephen Miller, who's a part of the MAGA movement, who came out of Santa Monica, who's been anti-immigrant, anti-people for years, who's talked about openly saving civilization and saving Western civilization. So what does that mean? This is about whiteness. This is about white people. This is about making America a country for white people. And right now, immigrants are on the menu, but we're all on the menu if we're not white. And so this is about bringing us back to a country that didn't serve us, and quite frankly never would serve us. And so that's what this is about. And there's also a lot of politics at play here. I mean, this is not only an ideological struggle that I believe is on the table, but this is also a struggle about a man who is narcissistic and needs to create theater and needs to create this idea that he is a hero and a strong man, and he's going to save this country. And all of this is rooted in anti-black racism. All this is rooted in white supremacy. So that's the source of this. And I think we see it clearly, and hopefully we have the job to help expose that to more and more people to understand what this is actually all about. Because there's some people out there that, for whatever reason I don't understand, they can't quite see it.
Yeah, and I think that Judith Brown Diana said, in sort of her closing comments, that this is certainly about immigration, but it is actually more than that.
That's right.
And that we need to understand the bigger picture that is at play here, because that will help us understand, how we need to move. I want to talk a little bit about you talked about the need of the sitting U.S. president to create theater. I want to talk a little bit about how the mainstream media and journalists have helped to amplify that theater. Right.
That's right.
So one of the things that's, I think every Angelino knows, right, but I think it's important to say over and over again, is that the image that is being projected, or the image that was being projected, I think some outlets are trying to recalibrate, right? Like they feel like maybe they went a little too far, right? Maybe. But the images that were being projected out into the rest of the country and the rest of the world were not a reflection of the reality of what was actually happening on the ground. And we all saw the sort of like, I keep referring to them as breathless journalists, right? Like running down the street for no reason at all, right? Trying to find people to talk to, following, protesters around the streets of downtown Los Angeles who didn't actually know where they were going. They were just they didn't know what to do. They were just, like out there saying, I want my voice heard. They were aimlessly wandering the streets of Los Angeles. and the reporters were following them around as if they were, waiting for them to do something. Right. And so just from your perspective, if you were talking to, like journalists who would actually listen or media outlets that would actually listen, what is your perspective on the role and responsibility of journalism in a moment like this? I mean, to tell the truth, it's kind of like what news likes to do. They like to sensationalize. They like to try to grab the heading that gets the most attention, and it's fueled by bias. It's fueled by racism. And so folks will do that, and they don't end up not telling the truth and supporting tropes that the city is under siege by protesters, that this city is falling apart, that the city is being ripped at the seams by protesters. It's just not the case. I mean, we've seen when LA has been in trouble at a significant level, whether it was the 92 uprising or the Northridge earthquake. I mean, these are real situations. What we're talking about now is completely false, and this administration is able to take what is true and make it false, and take what is false and make it true. And the journalists have a responsibility to tell the truth. And unfortunately, what I find ends up happening is once they finally become victims of the same attack, when the tear gas drops on them and the bullets hit them, then they realize, oh, okay, this is deeper. But that should have been their starting point. And their questions begin to shift around that. And I think we're beginning to see that a little bit now because just like, one thing that was interesting, Paula Ramos, who wrote the book Defectors, it's a book about why Latinos have sort of embraced assimilation in America. She's the daughter of Jorge Ramos, talked about Alex Padilla being thrown out and likened it to when Jorge Ramos was grabbed and thrown out by Trump in 2016, that this is a part of their effort to squash dissent, squash First Amendment, and really relegate journalists to upholding his truth, not the truth that's real on the ground. Yeah, I think, to your point about, we saw the Australian journalist get hit in the leg with a rubber bullet. We've seen some other stories like that. And we've also seen, I feel like there's like something will trigger the reporter, right? And so I saw one story of a reporter, I don't remember which outlet he was with, who happened to run into a protester who was a Marine, right, who was protesting. He was a Marine, and they had been in Iraq together or Afghanistan together. Wow. Right? And so that interaction, right, for that reporter sort of changed who the people were that were out there protesting, because otherwise you're telling a story about whoever it is that they wanted to believe was out there. So it does feel like it should not rely on that, right? Like the perception and the image, and also because the peaceful stuff was also happening right in front of them, right? They made an editorial choice, right, to show mayhem, right? Mayhem that happened after dark. Right. By like the same 12 people every day, right? What did the mayor say at the press conference? That because they put a curfew in, but that she was walking around at night and saw just kids walking around, like young folks walking around with flags. There was no real danger. Right. Right. Yeah. Well, that was even at the vigil, there were like multiple protests going in different directions, right, from the vigil, and it was literally kids on their bikes, young people. I shouldn't say kids, young people, riding bikes, waving flags, right, chanting chants, protest chants, which apparently is a thing that can't be tolerated, right? Yeah, we should send the troops out when the Lakers win next year. Right, well, because there'll be more people out, actually. Exactly. But I don't know about the Lakers winning. But anyway, so let me talk to you. Just we have just a couple minutes left in this segment. But what I know that you all are also thinking about. The thing that you said earlier about people are in their homes, right? People need resources. I said earlier in the show, if people are in their homes, they can't go out and get food. They can't go out and get their medicine. What is the coalition planning to do to try and support community members?
So our members met last night, and we're organizing ourselves into 3 different committees, if you will. One is going to be around mutual aid, which is essentially members helping members, community members helping community members in their own neighborhoods, on their own blocks, folks that need to get their kids to childcare, folks that need groceries, folks that need to pick up their meds at the pharmacy, working to see what nurses we can connect with, to see if we need to do home visits on any health-related issues. I mean, it's actually providing the kind of healthcare the way it should be done in people's homes. But there's a whole lot going to be done to organize folks. And for folks that don't want to or don't feel the energy, too afraid to go to a protest, there's a way you can meaningfully participate by helping to put food bags together or just delivering food to folks that can't come out of their house. We're also working to we have a narrative committee that's working to collect stories and to tell those stories online of families and residents directly impacted by the raids, both the fear that they face, what they've witnessed, if they have a family member that's been separated, so that the community knows, like, this is absolutely far bigger than immigration. This is absolutely about what the administration is doing. But we also can't forget the families that are directly being afflicted with this attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'm going to ask you to hold the third one, because I also want to make sure that we're getting in how people can get in on this, right? If they want to help with the mutual aid or if they want to help with the story collecting. But when we come forward, we will absolutely talk about those things. That third mystery item that I'm asking you to hold on to. And we're going to continue this conversation with Alberto Otaño from the Community Coalition.
More of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A juror has been dismissed over Sean Diddy Combs' sex crimes trial over conflicting statements about his residence. Court has adjourned for the week after testimony included details of Diddy's Hotel King nights and guns and baby oil found at his LA home. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Rapper Jeezy says he's finally at peace after his divorce from Jeannie Mai. Speaking to The Breakfast Club, he said most of 2024 and so far 2025 has been full of peace, and he's focused on understanding and what's best for everyone. And Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore is set to speak at the Detroit NAACP dinner on June 29th, where he'll focus on the work of repair and highlight progress made under his leadership. The visit to the key battleground state is adding to speculation about a possible 2028 presidential run, though Moore has not confirmed any intentions. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Update in Santa Monica with this overturned car on the 10 eastbound at Cloverfield. All lanes had been shut down for some time. Then the right lane reopened while Caltrans crews were on the scene doing some cleanup. And it looks like all lanes are now open, according to the Highway Patrol. The drive is still a big mess, pretty much from the McClure Tunnel. Surrounding surface streets are an absolute nightmare as well, including Santa Monica Boulevard, Pico, even Lincoln, which turns into Pacific Coast Highway. Southbound lanes especially, just an absolute nightmare right now. So give it a little bit of time. It looks like lanes are reopening on the 10 eastbound at Cloverfield.
Get so much more with the new T-Pain Munchie Meal at Jack in the Box, including your choice of burger or chicken tater melt, plus curly fries, a taco, drink, and a new stuffed cookie. Auto-tune not included.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
12 HBCU student athletes will be competing Saturday in the finals of the NCAA Division I Track and Field Championships in Eugene, Oregon. North Carolina A&T has 3 athletes competing for a national title. Xavier Partee in the triple jump, Olivia Dowd in the women's triple jump, and Spirit Morgan in the women's high jump. Marcia Say of Howard is the only HBCU athlete to qualify for the finals in 2 events. Say is in the women's 100-meter hurdles. She is also a member of Howard's 4x100-meter relay team. The track and field finals kick off at 11:30 Saturday morning. ESPN Plus will have live coverage. Long Beach native Russell Westbrook declined a $3.4 million player option to stay with the Denver Nuggets. He will become a free agent on June 30th. The 36-year-old Westbrook is entering his 17th season in the NBA. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Westbrook still would look good in a Clippers uniform. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Attorney advertising prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're inside the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are back here at the Black Pack with Alberto Retagna, the president and CEO of the Community Coalition, talking about the work that the Community Coalition has been doing around this crisis that the city is facing with its members and with residents throughout South LA. And so, Alberto, you were talking about some of your members met last night and came up with some ideas for some ongoing work that really aligns, I think, with the mission and strategy of the coalition overall. You said one was mutual aid, making sure that the community is providing for its members, whether it's food or transportation or health services. You talked about storytelling and collecting storytellings. I think that is so important right now, precisely because the conversation we were having before about the national news media.
That's
if
right.
They're not going to tell our story, then we have to tell our story, right? And so making sure that you all are capturing stories from those who are directly impacted. And I think that it's important to note that those who are directly impacted is a broad grouping of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's undocumented folks. It is people that are here legally. And it's also citizens, because I think we saw the first citizen detained today, a black man, by the way. And so I think getting the stories out about what is happening, both for Black Angelenos, mm-hmm. for Latino Angelenos, for people regardless of their immigration status, is going to be really important. And then I cut you off.
All right.
And said, hang on to that
Yes.
last one until we get on
Everyone's
the
on
other
the
side.
seat of their pants. It's the edge of their seat waiting for the reveal. The third is bread and butter organizing. We're going to do the community organizing, which means that we need folks to come together and expose through action. So we'll be organizing rallies. We'll be supporting different actions downtown to bring attention to the issue. There was a conversation amongst our members to organize a concert that uplifts the stories of our families, that wraps our arms around our families. That joy is a form of resilience. We cannot let them take our joy from us. We can't just let their fear completely take over the streets. So we'll be organizing a concert as well. So we're really excited about getting the community out to do these kinds of mobilizations, and then be creative with artists. Like, we want to bring artists together to think about how do we leverage culture so that we're not just building resistance here, but that we begin to imagine a different future. We are partnering with different organizations in a project called Summer of Resistance, where downtown at the Placita Olvera or Ver Street, we'll be setting up for 30 days. And at that site, folks will be able to get information. They'll be able to get teach-ins. We'll be able to get resources out to folks. We will also be a place for performances and for rallies. So that'll also be taking place. That's already been kicked off. And on Sunday, they'll be programming at Placita Olvera called Summer of Resistance. So we're really excited about what we have. And we invite you all to come on down to Community Coalition and get involved, because it's a people power driven organization. It's called People Power Progress. That's our motto, and what fuels us is you. So volunteers, everyday folks that make it happen.
And so tell us how, if folks want to volunteer around the mutual aid program, or they either want to help with collecting stories or telling their own story, right? How do folks get in touch with the coalition?
I think they can email us at Community Coalition by emailing Kamani at Coco South LA. She's our senior organizer. KAMANI at Coco South LA. KAMANI at Coco South LA. Folks are welcome to come into our office anytime. Throughout the day, we have volunteers hours available at any time to learn how you can help us out. The doors are open at 9 a.m. and we're usually open till 8 every day, so come on through. We're not open on Sundays because where we're all at on Sundays, but you also come through Saturday.
So in that, when we think about the impact of the work that you all are doing, both as the coalition, but obviously in partnership with folks,
that's right,
in South LA as well as across the city, what is the message that you all want to send through that to not just to Washington, right, but to, I think, other folks around the country? Because Judith and I were also talking about how and the mayor has said over and over again, right? Mayor Bass has said over and over again, LA is a test case.
That's right.
For expanding this kind of militarization, terror, and fear right across the country. What is the message that you all want to send through the organizing work that you were going to be doing to folks in the rest of the country who can anticipate that this is coming?
Look, it's taken decades to get in a position to elect someone like Mayor Karen Bass into office, not just to elect an African-American leader like we had Tom Bradley in the 80s, but to be able to elect someone who doesn't come from law enforcement, who is an organizer, who represents that's a level of power that we've been able to build in Los Angeles. That's the story we want to tell, that this is a city of people that come together. This is a city of people that build coalitions. This is a city of Los Angeles where inclusion is number one and division is out the door. We don't accept division, and this is why we want the raids out of LA. This is why we want the troops out of LA. This is a provocation by the federal administration to divide us and to assert their agenda, and we're just not going to give them what they want, but we're also not going to let them come on in and do that. And the way we respond to that is through nonviolent, peaceful protest and assembly of our community. So that's what we're about. And for the rest of the cities that we're beginning to see this happen throughout California, we see happening in the Central Valley, we see it happen in San Francisco, we saw protests in Atlanta. I think now is the time for cities to get up and say, not in my city. We're not going to allow division in my city. I think folks should get in front now before they show up at your door.
Mm-hmm. And we're definitely, I think that the provocation, right, is it's happening, and the targets are not just any city.
Right. That's right. That's
They're
right.
Not just any city.
That's
right. Where they're saying that they're going to go. I was talking about this with Judith. Also, that they have said something like it's the liberal cities.
That's right.
But it's also not just the liberal cities.
No, that's right.
Right. Like it's very clear which cities they're talking about. And so whether that is where we know that there are cities with black mayors.
That's right.
We know that whether it is Newark, where we saw the mayor arrested, whether it is New York, which I don't know, that's 50-50.
Yeah,
what's going on there? But Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Seattle, right? We know that the targets are not just about that they are sending a message as well.
That's part of the theater, right? Is to be able to divide us while attack us at the same time, and it is pretty. It's an old playbook, and we can't keep falling for it, and I don't think we are.
Yeah, and just, I'm gonna ask you to say a little bit more about the thing that you just said, because I've heard you say this before. This idea that we can't. That we don't want to give them what they want, right? Which is images of full-blown chaos and disorder in the street. But we also can't acquiesce.
That's right. I mean, it's a challenging tension, and we don't want to give them what they want, because if they employ the Insurrection Act and are able to let the military be a part of deportations and take on civilian duties, that is a completely...
We're in a very different country at that point.
At that point, it'll be a very different country. I would have said that probably 2 weeks ago. The day that they would grab and tackle a U.S. senator for asking a question will be a very different country, and that's happening now. So we're not that far, but we can stop it if we step up. And one of the things we don't want to do is hand it over to them, and that just means having disciplined, organized protests, making sure that our people are clear of what the purpose is, having clear demands, having a clear strategy, and not letting either the agitators or, more importantly, the infiltrators that might be coming in to shape the narrative. So that's really important. And at the same time, we just cannot acquiesce. We have to be creative and smart to demonstrate that we are in opposition to what is happening, and that what is happening is morally not correct, that it's going to undercut our economy by slicing us and sending us and pulling us away and terrorizing our community. So all of these things I think are going to be really important to just not acquiesce either, but we have to be creative about it. How do we use culture? How do we use organizing? And then just not let them use the images to for them to use the Insurrection Act on us. So, but we can do this.
More with Alberto Retagna, the president and CEO of the Community Coalition, when we come forward. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA, with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at Enel Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlader-Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other black influencers in the climate and health fields, as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call,
do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Let's get back to more of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to the Black Pack, and we are wrapping up our conversation with the president and CEO of the Community Coalition, Alberto Retagna, talking about what we need to be doing in this moment in terms of organizing, taking care of our community, and doing the work that quite frankly, organizations like the Community Coalition are doing all the time, right? But I do want to talk about, obviously we find ourselves in a not ideal situation, right? With an increasingly authoritarian government, with a president who clearly wants to be a dictator, who said he would be a dictator on day one, and his team is methodically sort of carrying out the plans from Project 2021 that get us to Project 2025 that get us to dictatorship. But I want to talk about what is the there is also opportunity, right? Even in the midst of this moment. And so, I want to talk to you about what is that opportunity? What is the opportunity for actually building a sustained movement? What is the opportunity for connecting, not just here in LA and in California, with folks who have the same vision for America that we have, right? And what are the possibilities, right? Can we sort of snatch victory, right, out of this sort of crazy moment?
I mean, I think so. I think we have a huge opportunity to do such a thing. Look, immigration, I think, was kind of part of the earlier conversation. I think there was a practical reason to choose immigration, which was that in the issues that he polled on, it was the one issue that people generally favored. And so he's going to run with that. But what people don't generally favor is arresting folks who are working, who are obeying the law, who are helping our society grow. They're not trying to see children and mothers being split apart. They're not trying to see military troops and Marines deployed to our own cities to keep alleged control, but ultimately participate in the abduction of families. I think that there's a huge opportunity we have in this period to, unfortunately at a great loss, to delegitimize this administration, to help segments of those who supported him to defect. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in the Latino community in particular. That's our job, to organize our folks so that we don't do the same thing again and put our energy, a portion of our community, put our energy behind someone like Trump. So I think the opportunity is there for us to delegitimize him, to organize our folks around a set of values, to show that we care about each other, that solidarity is much more important, that unity, that's not just a fancy word, but it's an act to show someone taking food to someone's house, drive someone somewhere, or to protest in the name of someone's survival. So that's what we have in front of us. And I think, again, cities have an opportunity right now to get in front, say not here, and build a broad-based coalition of folks who you might not normally sit at the same dinner room table with, but are going to agree, because this is absolutely this is overreach, this is ridiculous, this is inhumane and unacceptable.
And you all have partners, I know, through your Center for Community Organizing work around the country, and I can't imagine that those organizations in similar cities in Jackson, Mississippi, and other places aren't calling and saying, hey, what's going on, and what do we need to be doing, and how are we connecting across state lines?
Yeah, it's a great question. We do have a center. We have over 70 partners across the country. We're going to be hosting a webinar next week to bring all of our partners together to share the lessons of what's happening in LA, and to really encourage folks to get ready in their own town. I mean, sometimes folks want to fly into LA or fly into the place to help, and that's fine. But actually, what we really need is for you to get ready and organize in your own city. So folks are absolutely curious. Folks are absolutely concerned about what's happening out here, and immigrants are not just in LA. It's national. It's nationwide where we are, and so now's the time to really start building those coalitions.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it feels like you have described a few things. You've talked about bringing in culture, right? You've talked about bringing in artists. You've talked about making sure that the community feels safe enough to participate, right, in the democratic process, and that requires training, right? It requires, when we think about it starts to look like, again, we need to sustain movement, not just have in a single moment, and particularly sustain movement because what we are facing is maybe this president is there for 3 more years, right? Like, that's normally how it works. Right. We don't know that we are in normal times, but we also know that what he has wrought on this country, whether he is there for 3 years, even if he's gone in 3 years, what we know is that the sentiment and the vitriol and the division and the hatred that he has brought with him, he and his minions, right, have brought with him, that's going to remain for a while, right? And so we really do need to think about how and they will continue to try and push the same policies, whether it's at the federal level or what we've seen mostly is at the state level. That's right. And so the sort of idea of sustained movement starts to be the elements that you talked about really begin to think about movements of past. Right.
That's absolutely right. And I can't say it more, the importance of unity. The opposition, they don't have their movement is pretty homogeneous. They just have to pick off X percentage of Latinos, a small percentage. They just got to pick off, but their base is pretty homogeneous. We have somewhat a tough job because we do not have a homogeneous coalition. We have very, very diverse coalition, but thankfully we have a common enemy that will help unite us, and it's through that unity that we'll get to the next level. People often forget, I believe, people think that unity just happens, but unity, the word in of itself, implies difference, and it's going to require different folks coming together around a common vision to move something forward, and I think that unity is critical. That unity can be built. I don't know, Adrianne. I certainly do feel like I do believe in political power and transforming our country, but at the most basic level of the work that we do is just human interaction, human dignity, and human love. And organizing allows the opportunity for 2 different people from 2 different languages, 2 different parts of the world potentially connecting, seeing our common destiny and fighting together for change. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. Obviously, beautiful is the liberation we're trying to achieve. That's right. But that process in of itself oftentimes gets overlooked, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, and it's necessary, right?
Absolutely, and it's required
necessary
for us to get to when we talk about freedom, we don't take that word lightly, and we don't use it in the way that the other side use it, which is freedom means taking stuff away from other people, right? Like, that's right. You have the freedom to restrict someone else's life, is the way that they define it, and I don't think that is ever the way that that we have defined it. So I want to thank you for joining, and for all the work that the Community Coalition is doing and will do. I'm going to ask you though to repeat how folks can get in touch with you and the things that you're saying that are available if people are want to volunteer, if they want to help out in this moment in South LA. What are the things that they can do, and then how do they get in touch with you?
Please email. There's 2 ways you can get directly engaged. One is you can email Kamani Harris. She's one of our organizers. KAMANI at Cocoa South LA. KAMANI ANI at Cocoa South LA. You can go to our website, Cocoa South LA, and sign up and put your name in, and we will follow up. Trust you will get a follow-up call from one of our folks. And the way you can get involved, you can get down and dirty and get in the organizing. You can help with the mutual aid because folks need resources. And you can also help us by obtaining stories and help us make videos, help us get the word out. That's really, really important. And on a point of personal privilege, I just got a picture from a friend about, I guess we're on some kind of screen. Yeah. I was not warned.
It's called YouTube.
I would not have been turning my head over. I have a bit of a cul-de-sac on the top of my head here. Next time I will wear a hat and have my head up 45 degrees.
Well, the other thing I want to say is, I don't know that you know, but KBLA is 4 years old this year. And so the anniversary events are coming up. They're fast approaching. There's special events and room getting into reservations are getting tight, right? So I just want to let you all know at the Community Coalition, maybe there might be folks who want to join KBLA for its anniversary celebration. But I want to say to listeners that if you want to join, you need to register. You need to go to KBLA1580.com to the website and make sure that you are registered to join us over the Juneteenth holiday weekend to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of KBLA. And with that, I want to say thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in on a Friday evening. I know that or afternoon. I know that folks could be doing many different things. I see you all in the chat, and I appreciate the engagement in the commentary. And we'll be here again next Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. I hope you all find a way to have a good weekend. And if you need something to do, go call the Community Coalition and volunteer to help with the work that needs to be done right now.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Florida Rep Byron Donalds is weighing in after Senator Alex Padilla was removed from a press event in Los Angeles.
My reaction is that Senator Padilla was really trying to make a name for himself. Nobody even knows who the man is nationwide.
Padilla says he was seeking answers on immigration and questioned how everyday people are treated if a senator is handled this way. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is urging peaceful protest after over 15 arrests during a loop demonstration. His chief of staff says ICE is preparing raids with many tanks like those used in Los Angeles.